Hi, I'm Steve Dan, this is my guitar. If you're just joining us, this is the third week in a study looking at Blues for Willarene by Grant Green, taken from his album Grant's First Stand, which is a cool Blue Note album from the early 60s. If you want to catch up, I've got two other lessons from previous weeks which cover the head and the first 4 choruses of the solo. So today we'll be taking a look at choruses 5 and 6 from the solo. Grant takes a long old solo on this one. Before we get stuck into it though, I just want to say a big thanks to my patrons. Patreon is a place to go if you want to support me. The link is on the screen here, and over there you can get the backing track that I've created with Joe Harris and Matt Carter, who plays Hammond organ on this one. And also you can get the full transcription of the solo. I'll be posting the full thing at the end, but you'll get the solo so far. And then also all of the exercise, arpeggio, chords, etc. You'll get all of those packs as well in PDF and guitar profiles. And then there's some extra things on there as well. And also you get all of the previous series as well. And there's 10 other ones. Before we continue, I just want to say a big thanks to patrons that have joined this week. So big thanks to Andreas, Bob, Johan, Franco and Vinicius. I think that's how you pronounce your name. So thanks guys for signing up. If you want to support me and you don't want to do a rolling subscription, there's a buy me a coffee link below, which is where you can just spend a few pounds or dollars and you can just support me through that. It's just a one-off thing. And other than that, you can like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell if you want to get updates on when the next video is out. The other thing to remind you guys of is that as patrons, you get access to a Q&A once a month, and the December one before Christmas, last one of the year, is going to be on the 12th of December, Sunday the 12th of December at 7:30 GMT. Sign on there because basically I'll give you a free lesson and I'll go into something a little bit more in depth than I do here, as it's got to kind of be quick here, and we'll spend an hour kind of going through that, and also I'll answer any questions that you might have, or at least try to. So please feel free to sign up to Patreon and make sure that you find the link on there. I'll post it at the top for this month's Q&A. So let's get on with looking at the next 2 choruses of the solo. So this is chorus 5. Okay, so this chorus, chorus 5, is slightly more packed than chorus 6, so I'm going to spend a bit more time here than I will on chorus 6. So to start off with, he just basically goes up a B flat arpeggio, major arpeggio, starting on the F, F, B flat, D, F, and then goes to the E flat here. Now, what I believe he's doing here is he's alluding to the E flat by playing that E flat there, but then follows the scale, the B flat scale, up further, so E flat, F, G, B flat, and then goes to the A. Now, if we analyse that with the chord that A is kind of going over, it would kind of give you a Lydian kind of thing, and I don't think that that's necessarily what Grant's doing here, because if you listen to the phrase, all of this stuff here is just, it's all B flat stuff. And to begin with, he plays it major, and I think he's just playing a major tonality over the top of that. Obviously, that kind of clashes a little bit with the flat 7 that's contained within B flat 7, but I just think he's going up and just following that scale up, that phrase. I don't think he would necessarily be thinking in his head, oh, I'm going to go to E flat Lydian now. So that, I think that's just an enclosure. Okay, just to get to the B flat, and then he's targeting all of the really important notes within the chord of B flat 7. So enclosing B flat, and then enclosing the major third, and then going down from there to enclose the A flat there. So you've got the tonic, the major third, and the flat 7. So the shell voicing there essentially. And I think that all the way through those first 4 bars, he's just thinking in B flat. Even though the chords change into E flat, he's just thinking B flat. And that A just happens to be there as part of the enclosure. So part of what we might call a, chromatic enclosure. Okay, this line here is really quite clever. It's a nice little kind of up and back phrase. Down, jumping back up, down, up, and then down again to get to E flat. So it's kind of, going around the houses to get to this E flat note. Okay, so I think the lesson here is that, when you see that quick change to E flat 7 in a blues, this blues or any blues, you don't necessarily have to reference it. If your melody's strong, like Grant's is here, you can keep playing B flat over the top of it, B flat 7, and it will still work. So here's another example of that. And you can see I've kind of done the same thing here. I've forced that A over the top of it, and then I've just continued on really with notes that would work over B flat 7 rather than kind of spelling out that E flat 7. And you'll notice that right at the end, I really do spell out the shell voicing of E flat 7 with the major third tonic and the flat 7 there to really show that I am aware that that E flat's there, and also just because it works with the melody. Obviously that's the main thing. Okay, so that was the first 4 bars of the 5th chorus. So on the next 4 bars, here he is very much kind of in E flat land, but the way that he does it is not by kind of really focusing on E flat. He actually uses an F minor tonality, which is cool because like the arpeggio of F minor gives us the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. In relation to E flat, but he actually uses some notes from an F natural minor scale, which is this. And the cool thing about the natural minor scale is it contains D flat, which is the flat 7 of E flat. So the phrase that he plays is... Okay, and we'll get to that chromatic bit in a second. But really, I'm kind of concerned with this. Okay, so it's cool that he brings in the C and the D flat there, and then runs up the scale, and then up the arpeggio of F there, giving all of the extensions, and that's cool. So it's worth thinking about that and learning the F natural minor and using some notes from that over the top of E flat 7, and also making sure that you know the minor arpeggio so that you can spell out those upper extensions easily. So the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th respectively. So here's another lick that I've put in that you can have a go at, but don't forget to make your own licks as well. And this is using the same idea of using an F minor tonality. Actually what I'm doing here is it looks like an A flat major 7 there, but what I'm actually seeing it as is an F minor 9 idea, and that kind of gives some really cool flavors over the top of the E flat 7. Okay, so let's tackle this cool little chromatic run that you've probably heard Wes use and Grant, and also George Benson uses it loads. So coming off the back of that F minor triad, so really super chromatic passage there. So let's just break that down. The first part that we've got there, okay, there, it's just a chromatic run using legato going from the C on the 8th fret up to the E flat on the 11th fret and using hammer-ons like that, okay? And then coming back down, picking it, and picking on the next one as well. So the cool thing about this is that not only is it chromatic, but it's not just randomly chromatic. Grant's basically kind of designed this so that he's hitting some of the important notes on important beats. So yeah, we start on the C, but that's on beat 4 there, and then on beat 1 of the next bar we land on the E flat, which is the tonality of the root tonality of E flat 7. So there, obviously he doesn't pick it, but he really does lean on it as he hammers on. And then on beat 3 he hits the B flat, which is the 5th. And then the last note he hits is the major third of E flat. Okay, and then in the next bar, it is chromatic and it's slightly weird, and it is difficult to know exactly what he's thinking about here. But what I think he's kind of thinking about here is that he's setting up a rather altered chromatic approach to G7, so that he can really move strongly onto the C minor 7 chord, which is in bar 70. So he starts off carrying on with that chromatic idea, and then it's not necessarily octave displacement here. I think he's just kind of hit that open D there kind of accidentally. So okay, so you could have been meaning to hit a different note, or it could have been meaning to not play anything at all and he accidentally hit it. But it just doesn't sound to me like on the record he meant to do that on purpose. So there, that's a chromatic enclosure over the major third of G7. So I think he's hitting the G7 earlier, so anticipating the G7, and then it's got some chromatic ideas over the top of this with like a major 7 over the top of G7, and then you've got the flat 9 there and also the sharp 9, and then he really hits home on that one there. So he's really accenting that. So there's a reason why he's doing that, and I think he's anticipating the C minor 7. But against C minor 7, that note, that G flat there, would be a minor 7 flat 5, which this isn't uncommon for guitarists to do, for jazz guitarists to do, to basically kind of force a minor 7 flat 5 over the top of just a straight minor 7 chord. So there. And then we've got more chromatic descents there. So going from E flat, again, that works against C minor. So this is designed going down to C. So he really is making sure that he's starting and ending on the right notes with these chromatic descents. And then we get into spelling out an arpeggio of F7. And then we get into all of this legato stuff next. So before we go that far, here is an exercise using chromaticism to target chord tones. So I've written it out, it'll be on screen and also on the PDF and the GP7 file as well. But you'll be able to see that it's over the top of B flat 7, so a different chord, but you'll be able to see that I've targeted the root, the flat 7th, the 5th, and also the 3rd on important beats in the bar. Okay, so let's just take a look at the last couple of bars of this chorus, chorus 5. The main thing that I want to point out here is the fact that, just as I alluded to before that exercise, he's spelling out an F7, and I actually think he's spelling out an F7 flat 9, which would go really nicely after that C minor 7 flat 5 sound. There, and it's funny because he goes back to B flat 7, but that's again not uncommon for jazz players to do, to finish off a minor 2-5-1 either with the harmony underneath actually supporting it or not. It's not uncommon for them to finish it off with a major or a flat 7 rather than going to a minor. But anyway, going back to the F7, basically what he's doing here is chromatic enclosure, so above the note that he wants, so above the A, and then going down and doing like a double chromatic enclosure, going down and chromatically going up, hitting that A there, and then spelling out the rest of the arpeggio, so hitting the A, C, E flat, and then hammering on and pulling off between an F and a G flat, and the G flat being the flat 9. And then this sets up this next idea, which he carries on through the whole of the next chorus. Now, with this little bit that he carries on, I don't think he's necessarily kind of thinking, kind of uber critically with this. I think it's just something that works. It carries on that idea of hammering on and pulling off and then hitting a note lower down. Okay. And he's just jumping it down a string. And those notes do work within the B flat 7 land. It's roughly around the B flat major pentatonic. And it's also, including that A flat there, which is integral to B flat 7. So I don't think he's necessarily thinking really critically. I think it's just something that works. And obviously at that speed, even if it was something that was slightly out, I don't think you would necessarily notice, because again, like I've said before, the rhythm and the melody is strong there. So let's move into chorus 6, and then we'll take a look at the legato that he does over top of this. So chorus 6, as I said at the top of this video, I'm not going to be spending a huge amount of time here because it's pretty much the same idea all the way through. So the bulk of this video has gone to chorus 5 because there's more there. But basically over the top of this, he takes one idea which he kind of comes up with at the end of chorus 5 and just carries it all the way through. And that is a lesson. It's a lesson in itself, that you can take an idea and you can carry it all the way through a chorus. You don't necessarily have to have lots and lots of different ideas and lots of different techniques, harmonic, rhythmic, melodic, all the way through one chorus. You can just take one idea, albeit rhythmic, melodic, harmonic, all the way through an entire chorus. And that's exactly what Grant does here. Now, he doesn't make it boring. He's taking this idea all the way through the chorus, and he's adding this in as a little bit of variation. Okay, and the thing that he's doing here is he is creating some timing displacement all the way through this, because it's not a perfect 1-bar phrase. It's about half a bar. It's not a perfect 1-bar phrase. It's about 3 beats, depending on which time he plays it. And then he carries straight on with the next phrase. So he doesn't leave the extra beat and then restarts again on beat 1. He doesn't even start the thing on beat 1. So it's displaced all the way through. And what he's doing is he's basically playing that idea for the majority of the way and then intersperses that through it. But there is one thing I picked up on. He plays this for quite a while. And then eventually he does play this and then goes back into... But there's a shorter time between the next time that he plays this and then again another shorter time. Okay, so it's like he's kind of gradually shortening the space between the variations on there, and then ends it with... Okay, so ending it on a note that's slightly tense that needs resolution. Okay, which resolves onto chorus 7, which we'll look at next time. And that's clever, to resolve it onto a tense note, which would take you back to 1. So this just shows you that you can take one simple idea that's not particularly technically demanding all the way through a chorus. But there are some things that you might want to do to make it a little bit more sophisticated and interesting. One of those being that you have some form of variation that in Grant's case, he's using his ear to randomly intersperse throughout the whole thing. And then also making sure that you end on a tense note so that you can then resolve it really strongly back onto the 1 again for the next chorus. I realize I've just said that it's not wildly technically demanding, but there is one technique that you do need to have down in order to be able to execute this chorus well, and that's legato. And the main thing that he's doing here is hammer-ons and pull-offs. Now, there's one little exercise I use, which I actually use for a warm-up, which is taken from the Coltrane idea of taking the first 4 notes of the major pentatonic, okay, which he quite often uses in solos like that. But what I've done, I actually heard Sonny Rollins doing this, and I can't remember where, but I saw him take those 4 notes and basically move it up chromatically up the neck in a solo. And he only did it a couple of times, a couple of semitones up, but I actually have taken it and moved it all the way up through the fretboard and used it as an exercise. And I use slides, hammer-ons and pull-offs for this, so this is quite a good exercise. So use this exercise and use it as a warm-up and as a technique builder for improving your legato. So here it is. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching if you made it through. So that was choruses 5 and 6 taken from this solo. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at choruses 7 and 8. Don't forget to head over to Patreon. Link is on the screen if you want to get the transcription, the backing track that I've made for this, and also all of the exercises that you've seen on screen. And then also you'll get access to be able to sign in on the 12th of December for the Zoom Q&A on this particular series. So head over there if you want to get all of those benefits, and also just don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to get updates. Thanks for sticking around, thanks for supporting me, and I hope you're getting on well with the solo, and I'll see you next week. Happy practicing. Bye.